Recipe notes for my favorite chicken, sausage, and shrimp étouffée. So I get excited about food, and so I think I'm prone to hyperbole. But honestly, when I tell you that this is my favorite recipe, I'm not kidding. If you know me personally, there's a really good chance I've actually made this for you because I literally make it for anyone that comes to my house for dinner. I've been doing it for about 15 years. I know this one up one side and down the other by heart. It's just so solid and so good, and it's also really special, and I'll tell you why. So, firstly, an étouffée is fairly similar to a gumbo. In fact, they're often kind of confused for each other sometimes because they're really built on similar bones. You've got the trinity, which is bell pepper and celery and onion, and you've got a roux going on, and you've got some proteins, and it's very saucy, and you'll often see it served with rice. But unlike a gumbo, an étouffée is a bit thicker, a bit richer, and it eats more like a main course than a soup or stew as a gumbo would. Another little note about the Trinity, if that caught your attention for a second and you're not familiar with it, really it's just the three vegetable sort of aromatic ingredients that are used as a flavor base for this particular recipe and in so many Cajun Creole recipes. It's a bell pepper, celery, and onion. It's really similar to a French mirepoix, but instead of a carrot, we're going to be using a green bell pepper. All right, I also dropped the word roux in my last slide, and if you're not totally familiar or comfortable with what a roux might be, it's really nothing more than a mixture of flour and some sort of fat, usually butter, that you cook together, and it provides a thickening base for a lot of sauces, not just Cajun Creole ones, but you'll see roux in cuisines all over the world. And I've got a picture of almond butter here because that's the color we're going for. You know your roux is good and done when it's nice and dark and brown, just like this. All right, I also wanted to note that I do include 6 ounces of beer in my ingredient list, not a whole bottle, so you get to drink what's left. But if you happen to have a household that isn't cool with buying booze, I totally get it, and you don't have to use it. You could just use extra stock in its place, that's fine. And if you don't feel like buying beer just for a recipe and you have some wine sitting around, go ahead and use that. It'll be delicious just as well. So one more note, I ask you to create a vegetable pulp in this recipe, and really all I mean is it's so simple. We're just going to take that trinity that I mentioned before, the bell peppers, celeries, onion, garlic, and if you like it hot, a little jalapeno, throw it in a food processor and just process it until it's really fine and very pulpy. That's what you're going to dump back in the pot, and it'll cook down with your roux, and it provides an amazing flavor base for the gravy here, even more so than if you'd left the veggies roughly chopped. And when it comes to what you serve this amazing étouffée on top of, honestly, that's up to you. I've listed things like cooked rice or some cheesy grits, which is usually what I go for. But honestly, the other day I served this on top of some cooked mushroom ravioli in a pinch, and everybody kind of went crazy for it. It was so, so good. So I guess my point is you can kind of put it on whatever you want. You could even serve it on top of big crusty pieces of baguette, and nobody would think you were weird because honestly, whatever works is great. Okay, that's it for today's recipe notes. I hope you guys get a chance to make this amazing étouffée. It really is one of my all-time favorites. It's so good. And if you do get a chance to whip it up, be sure to let me know. I'd love to see. I hope it becomes a family favorite in your home just like it has in mine. You can drop me a line here on the blog if you've got any questions, shoot me an email via the contact page, or you can just reach out to me on social media. I'm over on Instagram at @mykitchenlittle. Thanks a lot, guys.